Hello and welcome back. This is DruVision IT Consulting. It is September 23. Really glad that you're here. So, this episode is all about the biggest mistakes that I've seen over my 2 decades plus IT career in the major incident process. This is things that you wish could have gone differently and things that you simply have to address to get better the next time. As of now, I've been on hundreds of major incidents over the course of my career, and I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. And honestly, sometimes life just happens; you can't avoid it. Other times, it's just self-inflicted gunshot wounds. So, really, what I wanted to do was go through a little bit of my experience about some of the biggest mistakes that I've seen in a major incident process, so that hopefully you and your company, your enterprise, can avoid those. So, if you could, please click like and subscribe. Stay tuned. Let's dive right into it. Okay, so our IT concepts in 5 minutes, the biggest mistakes that I've experienced over the course of my career in major incidents. And so let's waste no time. Let's dive right into it. Preparation, right? So preparation is the key to any quick and timely resolution. Obviously, you wish it would never happen in the first place, but sometimes life, the universe, it just gets in the way, right? And something critical in your enterprise breaks. So you've got to have adequate documentation, right? And from what I've seen, you could really lump this into three critical areas, right? And I would say the process. I'll give you an example. So documenting a process of, let's say you've got a high availability environment, you got general parallel sysplex, and you're going to have to potentially decide between failing over your SAP environment, which could take 4 hours and change, or not. Well, if you're looking at a recovery time of less than 4 hours, because remember, once you fail over, you've got to fail back eventually, right? If you've got a primary and child cluster, you're going to have to fail back. So that's another 4 hours you're going to have to do later. And every time you do that, you create risk. So is the 4 hours and the risk worth it? Well, if you don't have documented decision criteria that explicitly states don't fail over if the resolution is estimated to be less than 4 hours, what's the team going to do? Are they prepared with the right documentation to know what decision to make? That would be a process documentation. Or in this event, call this team, right? Are we going to troubleshoot hardware or are we going to replace hardware, right? Your process documentation, you've got to explicitly state if you can't identify the hardware issue in the first, let's just say 30 minutes, call out a CE, right? Get that certified engineer out to fix your hardware, right? It's got to be documented, it's got to be regimented and structured, and it's got to be rehearsed, right? So, support agreements. What do I mean by this? So, a lot of times there's customers who purchase many, many, many products or software titles, usually software, but it's hardware and software in many cases from the same vendor. Well, if you've got all of your support agreements, A, multiple software support agreements, and B, they all terminate at different times, how do you know if you in fact have maintenance on your particular software product? Maybe you have a third party vendor doing some of your software support and the OEM is doing the other support. How do you know which? Where is this written down? How would a help desk agent or a major incident manager know where to call for what? Is this in your CMDB? I hope you have one. If you don't, is it in an Excel sheet that is furnished and kept up to date with every single person who's a part of the major incident process? It needs to be. You've got to do the boring work of getting with procurement and writing down all of this information, documenting it, right? Contact lists. Okay, in addition to that, you've got multiple support agreements. What numbers do I call? Right? What people or maintenance providers do I call for this or that or the other? You've got to have all of this information at the fingertips, right? You've got to have a current, in the case of X Matters, your queues and your page out system. You need to know when somebody's on vacation. Who do you call when and why? You've got to be on top of this. It's got to be written down. And your support team, your day-to-day support team must have this information all the time. No ifs, ands, or buts, because you don't get to choose when something's going to break in your environment. And then lastly, one of the biggest, most pet peeve mistakes that I can think of is doing a root cause analysis while you're in process, right? You've got to get back up and running. That is the mission. That is the goal. If you're doing something else like root cause analysis, you are not recovering the business, right? I get it. Before we rebuild this, let's capture the log files. Fine. That takes 30 seconds, 5 minutes tops, right? But if you're just sitting there, oh, I want to look here, I want to look there, I want to try this, I want to try that. No, blow it out, start over, rebuild it, get the business back up and running. That's your job. And in a major incident, time is everything. Time is so critical. And so these basic mistakes, which are easily avoidable with proper documentation and structure, don't shoot yourself in the foot. Don't fall on your own sword, right? Get the documentation, the process, the support contacts and lists. Get all of these things in a row, and your next major incident is going to run a lot smoother. This is DruVision IT Consulting. Please click like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much.